reptilian shapeshifters that David Icke talks about, he's kind of got the story wrong. They're not dimensional at all. They're this dimension. And yeah, they're not spiritual, mystical, or anything. It's pretty sick. But I'll tell you about that in a second. First, I wanted to tell you about the cloning stuff, okay? Now, human cloning, I have to tell you, it's been done since at the end of World War II. He said something about the Mark 1 to 4 clones, and the first one being called an organic robotoid. And that's what it was called, even though there's no robotic parts in it at all. Anyway, Mark 2 is an REM-driven clone. Okay, now what that means is when you go to sleep, the Illuminati, this is their main form of communication too. They don't call people on the phone. They don't meet at the Bohemian Grove anymore. Since they got cloning, they meet at the cloning station when they go to sleep. Each of them, I don't know how they do it exactly, okay, or else I'd know how to block it. But they can transfer your consciousness into a clone at the cloning station if they have a clone of you. And they used to have to use a tissue sample from you. Some people are drugged, so they think that it's a dream, or they're in the astral realm. That's what they tell people, right? The spirit realm depends on who you are, where you're from. Like, this is the linchpin in how the Illuminati NWO works. Knowledge. I'm probably going to die for this somewhere along the lines. It's not good.
My fellow Americans.
Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
A man holds in his mortal hand the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
He says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that.
Dude, the whole Epstein thing is pretty crazy. Because, like, you know how I think that like I could be like this like ancient bloodline prince of some sort. But also just the fact that if he is just a blackmail tool for other countries, or if maybe a specific other country, it'd be funny if, like, not funny, but it's like crazy, and also funny that like it's meant to fail. Like, the failing of it is also what's doing great harm to our country right now.
Wait,
Like
sorry, repeat that?
the failure of the whole Epstein machine,
Yeah.
coming all falling down and coming to light. And again, you know, I think he's alive, so I feel like he got away with it, and this shit's not over. I think it's more like a controlled failure that's not a real failure.
You think everything that's going on, you think that he's behind the scenes with a lot of shit? Is that what you're saying?
My original point is that even at face value, if he's just a tool for blackmail in our country,
Yep.
the failure of that machine, meaning him getting arrested, him killing himself, or even getting murdered, and like all this coming to light, the country rising up to like reveal all this shit. It's also very harming to our country, so it's like it was designed to fail at a certain point. That even the failure can be twisted in a way to like help the people that funded this thing in the first place.
Hey, you know what we could go through right now? We should talk about the Vril.
I'm down.
I saw you down, yeah?
Yeah.
I saw this thing that talked about like the different stages of Vril parasites. What is the Black Eye Club? What do you think? Do you think there's like a society of like parasitic like aliens controlling us? I think honestly, that just seems like a thing that's just happening, but not like you know what I mean? It's just happening in the background. Like that could be happening.
You know
but
how I
feel
sometimes talk about the clowns are Nephilim, or Nephilim are clowns, but the guy who does those videos. How, like, I think it's actually very fascinating, and I think there's some sort of truth to it. But that guy's also batshit insane. But in the Nephilim are clowns. Wait, what were we just talking about? I'm so sorry.
Vril.
Hold on.
The
Vril.
Vril.
Oh yeah. The last time I was checked in to like seeing what that guy's been posting, I saw he made a video that was saying that like demons are parasites.
I've heard of
And that
that.
and then he meant that literally, like demons are actually little parasites that get into your body that are also like they're little parasites in physical form, but like they could also be interdimensional beings. So like in their dimension, they're not so little.
Yeah.
The little parasite we see or can barely see is actually
It's
not a true representation of what they look like.
It's almost like there's this joke on Caravan of Garbage whenever they talk about Star Wars, how and whenever we see Star Wars, it's told like, from a galaxy far, far away. So we're seeing it from like a different perspective. So everything could technically be just really tiny. And like Yoda could be like the size of an ant in real life and we wouldn't even realize it. Or Kashyyyk could just be like really tiny, you know?
It'd be funny if Kashyyyk was really tiny and had a lot of big trees.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like normal sized trees, but really they're just like tiny, like Wookiees.
Yeah.
I did find a pretty interesting post. It's from our boy Cute Banana Muffin. He
I don't know who that is.
we've talked about many of his posts on Reddit. He's probably the one Redditor that we've mentioned the most on here.
I've never mentioned him.
Yeah, we mentioned him on the first episode we did together when we went over the Red Book. He was the one that did that. We've talked. He's the one who did the I think he did the post about the Finders. He's done literally like so many of the different posts that we've read on here, just because like he's like done a lot of different posts. What is it?
You should reach out
His
to him.
his account got suspended.
He hasn't resurfaced and said like that. Hey, this is
No,
I'm the OP of this post.
this account is suspended. Has been suspended. And what's funny about that is that anytime that you go to an account that like just has like the most like really interesting shit, like and the most posts like where it's just the most interesting shit, 9 times out of 10 those accounts get suspended. It's kind of funny. Like the ones that just have like massive posts that are just like from like different sources and shit. But this one's called The War for Planet Earth, the Nazi ET Connection, Part 1. Was there an intergalactic dimension to World War II? The last World War was not simply a war fought between the Allies and the Axis, or the democracy and despotism. It was also the planetary battlefield of Galactic War III, when alien civilizations sponsoring the Nazis and alien civilizations sponsoring the Americans fought once again for control of planet Earth, while using its unsuspecting armies as pawns in their interstellar conflict. That comes from a guy named Steve Omar from Galactic War III. I guess a book. The conventional view of the outbreak of World War II is one in which Germany and Japan had just happened to emerge as a fascist military superpowers at the same time, and decided to join forces and take over the entire world. In this view, it was coincidental that Japan would build an imperial fleet and become an invincible naval power, and that Germany would simultaneously develop a fearsome blitzkrieg capability using coordinated air and ground forces. Even at face value, this hypothesis seems absurd to some. Such grand historical coincidences rarely occur and usually turn out the result of meticulous long-range planning, and that seems to be the case with World War II. Now, a growing group of researchers into the circumstances of Hitler's rise to power and the sudden coordinated emergence of militant fascism all over the world see the roots of World War II in an entirely new and even more disturbing light. Could it have been decided well in advance at some very high level that Japan would take over all of Asia and Australia while Germany and Italy would divide up Europe, Russia and North and South America? Were Spain, South Africa, and Argentina already fascist dictate part of the alliance? And according to the researchers in the new school of thought, such a division of effort made perfect sense since domination of Asia required control of vast Pacific Ocean areas that only superior naval forces could handle, while the conquest of the massive continental areas of Europe, Russia, and the Americas would necessitate control of the air and huge, highly mechanized, fast-moving armies. Man, I really want them to get to the alien parts. I already know what happened in World War II, or what people think happened.
Did we ever do a deep dive on the supposed tombs of Gilgamesh?
I mean, we kind of did. We had on at one point, and we were talking about Project Gilgamesh.
I bet it wasn't a deep dive if it was on.
I was just gonna say I just said his name. It was no. We just kind of went over it. You want to go over the Gilgamesh? Oh,
Yeah,
here
I mean,
we
we're
go.
not even recording right now.
We are recording.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I've been recording.
I thought we just said we're not going to, and all of a sudden, like you Izanagi'd me into doing the podcast.
I mean, at the same time I kept it on, and I just like kind of went into it, and I just started looking at shit, and I was like, all right, if anything comes of this, then that'll be cool. You know what I mean?
I guess I just haven't been looking at the screen, so I haven't seen Craig just staring at me.
No, I haven't seen Greg just staring at me. Here, I'm gonna share my screen too, so you can see what I see. Do you see what I see? Here is from Ornery Awareness 699, The Secret of the Vril by Admin.
Can I just say that song is the worst Christmas song?
What, do you see what I see?
I hate that song.
Na 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 na, something like that, yeah. But this is from a post on February 21st, 2017 called The Secret of the Vril. Marshall claims that there is a secret that has been kept by members of the Illuminati for more than 70 years. A secret of such great importance as to affect the lives of every man, woman, and child on the face of the planet. Oh, I think we've already read this thing before, the original one. Oh no, I don't think so. This is getting into a lot of it. Following the end of World War I, where in 1923 Hitler was named the leader of the new Nazi Party, following a failed attempt to overthrow the federal government, Hitler was arrested for treason. While awaiting trial in Landberg prison, he read Bulwer Lytton's 1871 novel, Vril, The Power of the Coming Race, about a master race beings who called themselves Vril. All right, yeah, we already know about that.
Hitler's just like Trump, but Hitler got in trouble and then still got away with it and then came back up.
So he's just like Trump.
But Trump didn't get arrested.
Yeah, he just got like impeached and shit.
Yeah.
All right, much like the 1956 classic Invasion of the Body Snatchers, in which the inhabitants of a small California town were replaced one by one with identical copies of themselves, Marshall warns us that we've already been invaded. We just don't know it yet. Marshall explains that Vril lizards are essentially parasites, and like all parasites, have a biological drive to invade, dominate, and take over. Marshall refers to this biological takeover as body snatching, and explains the human victim dies once the Vril lizard takes over. Marshall says that with the help of the Illuminati, body-snatching Vril lizards have infiltrated all levels of society and hold positions of power all over the world. This is done in order to remove all key people and replace them with Vril hosts. I think we have talked about all this. I literally think we've talked this exact original post when it came about. Like when we first talked about the Vril. I don't know. Oh, you want to hear something interesting?
Yes.
This is from 7 years ago. Please read, help, and spread the info. People, including innocent children, are at the cloning centers. These cloning centers are located in deep underground military bases. This is from 7 years ago. For example, Area 51, which is located in Lincoln County, Nevada, Dulce Base, and Montauk Base. I'm just not going to repeat where they are. Many of these bases have cloning floor. That cloning floor is called a cloning center. Some cloning centers are above ground, though. There's an above ground cloning center somewhere in Western Canada, which Queen Elizabeth owns. She knows where the cloning center in Canada is, and so does the former Prime Minister of Canada, Stephen Harper. Queen Elizabeth, Vladimir Putin, and high-up Chinese people pretty much run the cloning centers. In addition, Kevin Sullivan, ex-pro wrestler, is a rich satanic cloner with a lot of pull with the Illuminati. Please help free those that are trapped at the cloning centers. The Illuminati or New World Order have technology that allows them to be able to transfer one's consciousness or soul to a Mark II REM-driven duplication clone body at the cloning centers.
REM driven?
Yeah, Mark II REM-driven duplication clone body. In this dimension during REM phase of sleep, they can also transfer one's consciousness to a Mark III duplication clone body at the cloning centers in this dimension while one is in a meditative state, no REM required. All they need is a blood, tissue, or possibly even a DNA sample to make a Mark II REM-driven. You know what's funny is this post was downvoted to hell, but this to me actually feels real. You know what I'm saying? Like, this actually sounds like somebody who somehow got, like, an awareness. Maybe this is a schizo post, too. But this almost sounds like, especially based on, like, everything out of the Epstein files, this sounds like somebody that, like, kind of got wind of some shit and just, like, suddenly, you know, ran with it a little bit. It says, clone of you, and they come out the same age as when your sample was taken. It takes them around 5 months or less, and it only costs around $30 for test tubes and maintenance. They can kill anyone remotely from the cloning centers if they have a clone of you. They can do this, kill your real body by either applying a constant electrical current to your clone or by torturing your clone. Your real body will die from a heart attack or an aneurysm the same day or the next day. They are victimizing people all around the world while they're asleep. Some people don't recall anything that takes place, and some people think the experience is a dream or a nightmare. Additionally, they're deceiving people by making them believe that their experience was a lucid dream or just a regular dream or a nightmare. Or just a regular dream or a nightmare or astral projection or an out-of-body experience. Lucid dreaming and astral projection both take place at the cloning centers. They use clones, MK Ultra, and drugs to manipulate and deceive you. You're not having a lucid dream, and you're not in another dimension or in the astral plane in your astral body. You're a clone at the cloning centers in this dimension, most likely in an MK Ultra scenario. The clones at the cloning centers have a microchip called Mind Voice, also known as artificial telepathy or MK audio effects, implanted in their head so they can use MK Ultra visual and audio effects on you and can control you. With the use of the chip, they can make anyone see or hear anything. They can feel and see yourself floating, flying, etc., but it's an illusion known as MK Ultra visualizations that only you can see. The people in control know that you're seeing through other people and that they're seeing MK Ultra on maybe to see as well. They put people in what's called an MK Ultra scenario, which is basically a controlled experience at the cloning centers using MK Ultra visual and audio effects and drugs for entertainment. Sit back and laugh at the person because they look like an idiot running around doing whatever, and to influence the person, real body, in real life, making them feel a certain way about someone or whatever, like increasing the likelihood of a girl wanting to go out with someone. Let's say that there's this old man that wants to have sex with this pretty girl at the cloning centers. They can put an MK Ultra visual effect of some celebrity face that she would most likely be attracted to over this ugly old man's face, so that she'd be willing to have sex because she sees the attractive celebrity face as opposed to this ugly old man's face with him. They use drugs in addition to MK Ultra to help with the manipulation. One may be pre-drug prior to clone activation, transfer of one consciousness to a clone, and or drug during the experience. One may even find themselves in the same area or room where their real body was sleeping or meditating at. This is not a dream or a lucid dream, and you didn't project or go out of body. You are simply seeing MK Ultra visuals or illusions at the cloning centers as a clone. You are in an MK Ultra scenario. When one sells their soul, it means that they agreed for the Illuminati to use a clone for them at the cloning centers for sex or whatever while they're asleep in exchange for fame and fortune. In addition, some have sold out and joined the Illuminati to receive benefits at the cloning centers, being able to have sex with celebrities as clones and or benefits in real life, e.g. money and fame. Vril Type 1 lizards, terrestrial aliens, are parasitic, carnivorous, and malevolent. I was wondering when the Vril was going to come into this. They're about 1 to 2 feet tall. Their head resembles the body of a king crab, and their body is covered in red diamond-shaped scales. That's what they look like.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, that's kind of, it's weird. They dwell underground. They're dumb and are able to talk, but smarter when they turn into a human. Turn a human into a host drone. They have uh, proboscis, yeah, called the quill, which is located on the top of their heads. The proboscis looks like a chocolate chip, contains everything that the lizard is, its consciousness, and their lizard body is dead once the proboscis leaves its body. They can only do this once in their lifetime. If they fail, turning a human into a host, they die. The human that is about to be body snatched is either unconscious or restrained. The proboscis enters the human eye and spirals around the optic nerve. It then proceeds to go into an area of the brain driven by taste that tastes like butterscotch to them. Then they do a feeling of holding your breath and pushing outwards. Finally, it does what's called sweating the quill. At the tip of the proboscis. Yeah. At the tip of the proboscis, which excretes the parasitic cells that take over the human body. This kills the human and replaces their consciousness with the Vril lizard's consciousness. The Vril lizard becomes that human after about a month's recovery time. This transition from Vril lizard to human is what's called droning. Once a Vril lizard becomes a human, they are known as a drone, host of Vril or a parasited host. A person that has had this happen to them may be referred to as someone that had been possessed by a demon. This is what demonic possession is. In addition, some hosts of Vril drones call themselves walk-ins, in which they describe how an alien consciousness or soul took over their body. The slit-eye videos that you see all over the web are fake. The Illuminati put these out intentionally to mislead everyone into thinking that one can tell who is a reptilian, Vril lizard, and a host of Vril, aka drone. By checking to see if their eyes turn to slits, this doesn't occur and they cannot do this. However, the eyes are one way to tell. Sometimes there may be an eye that pops outward or inward due to the droning process, or it makes the eye stray, so it looks like the person is cockeyed or wall-eyed. There is no shape-shifting either. The so-called shape-shifting is... So I guess we know Kash Patel is a drone. The so-called shape-shifting is the transition from Vril lizard to human. Those that talk about the reptilian shapeshifters are referring to Vril and people who have been droned. Drones, parasited hosts of Vril, mimic human behavior. They are willing slaves with no compassion, only care about droning other people, torture, and sex. They're murderers. They killed the human to use their body and live life as them, as a human. The Illuminati possess really, really advanced technology, one piece of tech being a soul stone microchip, also known as a consciousness chip or the soul catcher. The Soul Stone is an apple seed-sized microchip that is capable of storing a flawed recording of one's consciousness. Once a consciousness is recorded and stored on it, it is then implanted in a clone body or a real body, which has less side effects. If it's implanted in a real person's body and turned on, it body snatches, kills the person. Whatever consciousness that was recorded on the chip would then be in full control of the person's body. After this is done, that person would then be known as a chip head. That's funny. However, if someone dies and that dead consciousness was recorded on the chip and then implanted, they would then be known as a dead chip head, also known as reanimated or undead chip head. They don't like the term undead, so they call it relifed. They can implant the chip by drilling a hole in a person's head, or they can remove one's eyeball and insert the chip with a rod to a certain depth in the brain, the hypothalamus region. They then simply turn it on and it body snatches the person via technology, as opposed to a Vril lizard that body snatches one parasitically. Dead chipheads are evil. They're mentally impaired and they have a handler. Sometimes they want to bite, eat, or kill people. This is because the technology to bring them back from the dead is flawed and cannot be fixed. That's crazy. I want to, you know what? Remember how I said that a lot of the people that are usually right end up getting, suspended? Let's see what he did. He didn't get suspended, but he hasn't really posted on anything. 9-year club. That's funny. He didn't post anything in his 9 years except for that and one other thing. Well, considering he's the oh, this is interesting. The only other thing this dude wrote in his 9 years, besides that whole thing about the Vril, is about Trump saying, well, considering, and this was 5 years ago, Well, considering he's the most powerful man in the universe and has objectively achieved more than any Redditor ever will, I guess you're right. He can't punch above his weight. Everyone else is simply below him. So was that guy bullshit?
Is
You know what I want to do is I was thinking of, because well, if this is real, then people that are mentioned in this would be mentioned like, say, the Epstein files. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So like things that I wanted to look up were like I wanted to like look up some of these old conspiracies and like see like certain people that are mentioned like Stephen Harper and shit like that. And this guy Kevin Sullivan, the ex-pro wrestler. Like, when people read shit like that, they're like, "Oh, this is obviously batshit nonsense and it was a crazy person that wrote this." But then you find out behind the scenes that like, some of these people that people say are crazy and connected are actually crazy or are just actually connected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So could be something. I kind of want to look that up though. Yeah, I don't feel like doing it right now. My other computer's busted, but I don't know. I should do that one. I should also say that guy's name was Cuck Lord Chad, so maybe he's not the best bit of information. I don't know. What do you think of the whole Vril thing?
Vril kind of reminds me of Parasite the anime.
I've never heard of that.
There's like these parasites that fall from the sky. They start taking over Earth. They're like aliens. But one of them starts to take over this kid, and it like fails, kind of messes up. It doesn't fully take him over, and becomes more like instead of a thing that takes over his brain, it becomes like a symbiotic creature that's living inside of him. Parasite that's feeding off of him, but also granting him like
Venom?
like it makes him like regenerate. It's like it's like Venom, but like kind of somehow grosser.
Somehow grosser.
Yeah.
So, do you think World War III is going to be caused by aliens?
No. I think if anything, it'll be caused by aliens and the fact that while aliens are being revealed to us and like we're living through that monumental time, there's gonna be people trying to start World War III to like almost like
So-
as a distraction.
Yeah. So this guy says he's Michael Prince, an active duty whistleblower trained to be a cyborg super soldier assassin in SS and MI6 UK intelligence networks, has stated that World War III, a war between hostile ET civilizations and the human civilization, has started. So this is another post by Cute Banana Muffin. And it's from some guy's paper, a book or some shit. And he goes, in 1964, U.S. Intel expected a gray reptilian ET takeover. In 2000 to 2030, the current war between hostile extraterrestrial gray Draco reptilian faction and humanity has been in development for a number of decades. In his book, Michael Prince reveals that in 1964, U.S. intelligence agencies had concluded that a gray reptilian extraterrestrial alliance had a timetable for a planetary takeover of Earth sometime during the 2000 to 2030 period. That's pretty interesting. You don't think that they're trying...
Did we talk about the Gilgamesh tombs yet?
You already asked that.
Yeah, but we didn't really look it up and look at a document that described it. Because apparently there's been two different ones. Like one was described as that, and then there's another one.
But what do you think when you hear whistleblowers talk about that, about an ET war and shit like that? Do you think that that's like a part of Bluebeam?
Yeah, I think that scaring us and telling us that alien, like that's going to be something that makes us not want to learn about aliens and just live oblivious to it.
I feel like it's a way to beef up the technology behind the scenes and then project it out, and when they can show us it, basically be like, you guys don't even know. There's things that are far beyond your comprehension, basically. So I just looked up Project Gilgamesh. It came up to the Saturn Time Cube. That's a good post.
Oh, if it's Project Gilgamesh, it's more so that I think like there's references to it in the Epstein files, and there's some other weird references to it.
It's in the Podesta files.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's in the Podesta emails.
They were talking about like, yep, we found Gilgamesh's tomb.
Yeah,
but then
there's
two different versions of this. There's like more recently another one where somebody else, I forgot where, because it's two different sources.
It was in Venezuela.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the new one you're talking about. Yeah, that's a Venezuela. That was in Venezuela.
I think that is.
And they sealed it off, and then like a year later, we invade Venezuela.
Yeah.
Hillary's emails talk about the tomb of Gilgamesh and his resurrection chamber. Turns out Gilgamesh, Nimrod, Osiris, Apollo are the same Nephilim demigod. The Freemasons, elites worship him, and Baal, Saturn, Moloch related. Think NASA, Apollo, Saturn moon mission, Osiris, REX, Elon Musk's Devil's Champ. These are all Freemason operations trying to resurrect Gilgamesh via CERN. Wow. This guy goes, does anyone find it funny the U.S. invaded Iraq in 2003 right after there were claims that archaeologists had discovered the tomb of Gilgamesh?
Another one.
Also, what is it?
That's another one.
Yeah. Also notable is the fact that the Baghdad Museum being broken into early in the U.S. invasion in a war zone and being robbed of only a couple of ancient artifacts by someone knowledgeable enough in Sumerian and Babylonian archaeological relics that only genuine artifacts were taken. Didn't Gilgamesh's tomb or Nimrod's tomb come up in Hillary's emails? Crazy.
Know about that.
No, that's what we're talking about. That's the Podesta emails. Crazy. The Gilgamesh Protocol, reading the subtext of the Venezuela raid. If one looks closely at the periphery of this conflict, away from the presidential palace and towards the ancient geological spine of Venezuela, a different pattern emerges. Apparently, that region was like one of the last pieces of like places touched by humans. A leak from a Freedom of Information Act release of State Department emails allegedly confirms a claim that this email is from Hillary Clinton on December 13th, 2018, requesting documents pertaining to the resurrection chamber of Gilgamesh, the location of his body, and the location of the buried Nephilim. Quote, unquote. That's interesting. In 2003, a team of German archaeologists uncovered what they believed to be the ancient city of Uruk, Venice in the desert, they called it. Within the city, they found the tomb of the city's king. Shortly after its uncovering, military forces swooped in and took hold of the site, claiming it was a hostile militarized zone.
Whoa.
Nothing about this discovery was ever heard of again, and it's been almost 20 years. Well, it's been over 20 years now. It's been 25. A little while back, I discovered a video on TikTok that is of a tomb that is said to have been found before the invasion of Iraq, and it shows a perfectly preserved body of what the poster claimed to belong to Nimrod/Gilgamesh. I started to find more information on this topic and came across an article from the BBC that discussed a historian named George Fassbender, who was searching for and may have found the tomb of Nimrod shortly before the invasion of Iraq. I have seen countless people say the video is fake in the subreddit. However, no one seems to be able to tell me where the video came from, what it is, and it is also extremely hard to even find the video on YouTube. This has led me to theorize that the U.S. government is in possession of Nephilim DNA. That was a real huge leap, but that was funny. I mean, it wasn't a huge leap, but it was funny how he goes, it's hard to find the video. And then he goes, this has led me to believe the U.S. government. Because of this, who is to say that they didn't raid archaeological sites as well? I am not claiming this video to be real, as I have little knowledge about it. If anyone has credible information of the origin of the video, please comment below, and please don't try to say this video looks fake, because that is not a valid way to debunk something.